Good evening, beautiful Black Baltimore. It's 7 p.m. on Monday night. Welcome to Shared Space. Before we get started and introduce our guests and go over some stuff in the community, I just want to do a shout out to our other shows on BlackUSA.news and thank Donnie Glover for the opportunity to have our people's voices be heard throughout the nation. So Monday nights with us, shared spaces with Quita and Chap. Tuesday nights, the Donnie Glover show at 7 p.m. Wednesdays, we got Sister Biz with Tamara and Nicole. Thursday nights, we have Black Business Roundtable with Doug and Dr. Ashley. They're out of Oakland, I think. And Friday nights, Black USA Crypto News with Kamal Hubbard. If you don't know about crypto, start educating yourself because we're going to decentralize this wealth, take down institutions, and give it back to our people. Saturday mornings, 10:15 a.m. We have Blackout live from New York with the DF firms Tasmere Gathers, and then Sunday nights we have 60 Minutes at 6 p.m. with who's the host for that? Michael Rainey. Mike, correct
Michael
me if I'm
Hayden.
wrong. Michael Haney. Yeah, I apologize, brother. Um, but yeah, tune in. Lots of good information going on, and we can get on with the show. I'd like to introduce Jessica Cabell. She's actually a first time guest, my sister from the neighborhood, and entrepreneur, and many other things. Mother, sister, cousin. But go ahead, Jess. Tell us, what do you do, my sister?
Shit, I do a little bit of everything. My first and full-time career is I work for the Food and Drug Administration. I also, as and my mother of four, is you can hear my 2-year-old in the background singing Coco
Singing,
Melon.
right.
Is it singing in the
And,
background?
yeah,
Really?
and I own a child care. I also have a meat carrier business I just started. I don't think I told you Dave
Mm.
about that. And then I also have a shaved ice business, and I just got a food cart recently. So I am very busy. Mother of four, trying to juggle children, businesses, careers, all in one. But God is good, and He's making it work out. Is all I can say at this point. So it's nice to meet everyone.
Definitely. Jess, you sound booked and busy. We love that. We love that. And then we also have Khadijah Hart on tonight, and she is also a woman of many hats and a whole bunch of everything. Khadijah, tell us about your organization and what you got going on with you.
Oh, thank you, Kuita, my sister from another mister. I am, yes, my name is Khadijah Hart, and I like to say that I am a manifester of community change. I am a connector, and I just love really helping people kind of get together to create more impact. People who are doing positive things in the neighborhood that fall in alignment with one another and kind of bringing them together so that they can create sustainable impact and community change. I'm currently a Bunting Neighborhood Program Fellow with the Urban Health Institute of Health. I also work with Morgan State University on their community cares program. I'm working on a research project with them around smoking cessation, and I have this initiative out with Tia Wells called, and Tia actually is with Bliss Meadows. She's also a Bunting Fellow, like Quita and me. And we did this wonderful thing called Walk with the Doc on Sunday, where we had a doctor come out and they talked for about 5 minutes about mental health. It was mental health, National Mental Health Awareness Day. And then we walked around the lake together, and it was a wonderful thing. We had about 20 something people come out, 2 dogs, and it was just beautiful. And we all gathered together, and it was great. So thank y'all for having me here.
Yes, it was amazing. And so for everybody who has been joining us, I am Laquita Chansey, the founder and director of Baltimore Homes, and we build tiny homes and micro shelters for people who are experiencing homelessness. We target redline communities, and we do financially literate workshops for all ages, because you can't buy a home and build generational wealth without having a financial plan. So, what we have been doing is community cleanups with our boy Chad. We've been doing those over at Fremont, and we're going to be doing one this weekend, Saturday. We'll be there at 8 a.m. Yes, no, maybe so.
If you can hold it down. Reason is that I have an opportunity. Me and my son are actually both filming on the new HBO series coming out next year. We Own the City. So I love my community. Y'all know I'm out there consistently.
So
But
wait
we're
a
going to take
minute, who's
advantage.
out there with you, Dougie or Charles?
Charles, you got to be 18 or older. So Charlie, yeah. But yeah, we're going to take advantage of that opportunity, do some networking for BlackUSA.news and for the community, and make some money.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I want to go ahead and say just one time, Happy Indigenous People Day.
That's
And
right.
we acknowledge as Wallace. So I just wanted to get that up in there. I wanted to go ahead and get that up in there.
That's right, Cleta.
Hello. Y'all know I'm a mess. But yeah, so what, Jessica, if someone was like, oh, shoot, she got a child care situation. I need child care. How would they go about getting in touch with you? How would they contact you? Or how would that start?
Well, I have a website, Insight Kids Care. Kids is spelled with a Z at the end. Care.com, and my information is on there as far as enrollment, hours, a little bit about me, and the other lady that runs it with me.
You
And
said Insight Care, Kids Care.
Kids Care, Insight Kids Care .com. There you go. So
See?
everything is on there, and yeah, people. I mean, anyone could call me with questions. I too as well.
So also, Jess, you said that you have a bunch of hustles. Like you are the entrepreneur of the year. So do you need help? Are you hiring? Like, what is it that the community can do to support you?
Well, as I was telling Dave, it's hard running these the food cart. It's actually in the process. The process of getting permits, this, that, and the other is tedious, unfortunately, with the city. So I've discussed with him that I definitely need somebody to run that for me. And the shaved ice cart is kind of getting into the cooler season, so it's kind of not being utilized as much right now. So, I mean, there's an opportunity if somebody wanted to use it for, instead of shaved ice, it could be like even a convenience little, setup somewhere. Is definitely sitting on my lot, and it's not being utilized. So if somebody definitely has the ability to tow it or take it to a certain area, they're more than welcome to do that.
I definitely think you putting that out there is amazing, Jess. And I thought about taking it a step further with some workforce development opportunities. How can we get these young people involved and knowing how to have their own snowball business, right? And using your truck as a model, and you kind of like teaching them there's opportunities available, for you to be able to do that. And so for my thing is, I know that there are a lot of things that we can do by ourselves, right? Like with our own resources and our own money, I do, and I believe that we should. But I also believe that while we do have foundations that are required because of how they view philanthropy, and it's a tax shelter, they're required to use money and spend money. We should be the ones to tell them how to spend that money.
Exactly.
And it should be, and so to me, I feel like there's an opportunity for you to get some funding to really try to do that. That could be some type of mobile workforce development.
Because I had mine, it built across seas. So when it was imported here, so I know how to get them here. I know how to get them imported.
It's amazing.
And I could actually, if there was a grant, I could easily get them set up throughout the city.
Absolutely. You can pilot them. You can do them in conjunction with schools. You can do them in certain neighborhoods.
Because I do transportation. I pick up the children to my childcare. So I know the principals in the area and this, that, and other. And so they're aware of, you know, the fundraising opportunities I have presented to them. But this could be something that could be throughout the city. Definitely.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely
Absolutely.
replicatable,
Yes, it
and
is. And it's very easy. And
yeah,
it
like
Yeah.
to your
generates,
point,
you know, pretty decent
Yeah.
profit.
And you work with
and
and you can work with the kids. You
Yes.
survey them, you ask them if there are some things that they would like to know how to do.
Hmm.
What could what could it
Right. And,
be?
you know, honestly, when I created it, I have had children in it prior to me working it ever because I
Hmm.
wanted to see if they could do it. And my 7-year-old did it. So if
Yeah.
somebody as young as 7 can run it, anybody can do it.
absolutely,
Mhm.
Hey,
So
absolutely.
it's an
and I'll
opportunity.
tell you.
Yeah, it's a definitely would be a great opportunity if I could get an influx of them through the city.
I think so too.
So there's people like Danielle Pinder, Chief Duncan. There's a bunch of people that are doing kind of silos of youth entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
Danelle put her so Jessica's nephew Elijah Diggs. He did one where they did a youth entrepreneur event, and she gave the kids a table and tent. He set up his he makes soaps and things like that, and
Mhm.
he just set up and sold stuff. And there's people working with like entrepreneur minded kids who we can empower and train, because if you have the mind to do one thing, you have the mind to do multiple things. With my son Charlie cutting grass this year,
Mhm.
he's already dived into hauling trash and doing like other little stuff around the neighborhood.
Mhm.
Whatever's putting a little scratch in his pocket, washing cars. Like he's not above it. He's asking like, Dad, how do I do this? How do I do that? Like, because the kids that hustle, they're going to hustle, right? And if we
And
can give them multiple um,
avenues,
sources of income, streams of
resources,
income,
Absolutely.
and what? Wish
yeah.
somebody did that for me.
Mhm.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that we're realizing now that this is what we were missing. And so the
Mhm.
things that are missing from school, financial literacy education. So we're doing
Mhm.
that outside of school, you know what I mean? Outside
Mhm.
of the normal curriculum, even with entrepreneurship, all of that stuff is
Mhm.
so important because multiple streams of income are there.
Income.
We just saw the world shut down.
Yes,
We
absolutely.
saw the world shut down, but Amazon did not stop making
Oh,
money.
and Amazon was like the saving grace for a lot of
Mhm.
things.
They
You
were the
could go
saving
nowhere, but
stone.
you could buy what you needed
Yeah, it
Mhm.
would
for the
get to
most
you
part.
still in that one
Right.
and 2 days,
Yes.
even with supply chain issues.
Mhm.
So you can have your Amazon drop ship situation.
Mhm.
That's something that you can set up, relatively,
Mhm.
relatively affordably. I'll say affordably because I don't know how cheap it is, but all of these
Mhm.
different avenues that have that low barrier to income.
Mhm.
And so, wait a minute. So we have Mr. Mosiah here. Hey, Mo, how you doing?
Mhm.
Hopefully, he can hear
Oh
us.
man. Yeah, can y'all hear me?
We can hear you. We
Yeah.
can hear you. We were
Mhm.
actually just talking about entrepreneurship and getting the kids involved. And I said, you know what? I know somebody that has a program that's already up and going. And here you go. You just magically appeared.
Mhm.
Tell us about what you
Yeah,
have going
appreciate
on.
it. Yo, first I just want to say peace and love to everybody. We in some very challenging times right now. So the most important thing is for people to understand the times that we are in and be taking proactive measures to secure the safety and well-being for their family and their loved ones.
Mhm.
Um, so first thing first is that. But I'm an entrepreneur. I have multiple businesses, but one of my businesses is a baked good business called Grandma Louise Pies. You
Mm.
can Facebook it, Instagram it. I'm in several stores. I started off with Hip Hop Fish and Chicken, which is basically a
Mhm.
commercial fast food chicken line. They sold my pies about a year ago. I'm in Terra Cafe, OK Natural Food Store, getting ready to be in Sharif's. But what I got out of all of this was that I have a platform that I can share what I do across this nation, not just in Maryland, not just in Baltimore, but I can actually share it across this country. Um, I started off homeless, and I was homeless for maybe about 4 months. And I grinded while I was homeless on these streets. I had good friends who allowed me to use their kitchen to get myself in a home. Now I'm in a commercial kitchen, and I have the capability to produce thousands of pies now instead of 50 pies like how I used to do in my house. So the opportunity that I have created and presenting now is for youth to basically be franchise owners. So I'm teaching a course, an online course. It could either be a 7-day course or a 7-week course online, depending on how fast and how much time the youth have to learn these entrepreneurial basics. But I have a course that teaches them what customer retention is, how to know what kind of environment to sell in, to learn marketing, promotion, to learn esteem, how to build character. All of these things. I have an online course that I'm teaching, and after they finish this course, they have the opportunity to purchase my pies at a wholesale rate, acquire customers, and get subscriptions from their customers, which basically becomes a residual income.
That's
It's
awesome.
very
How in the world? So we've lost
Oh
Mo.
no, and he just dropped the
That's a
mic.
good
That's what he
part.
did.
What
He
he
dropped that
said,
mic.
well,
Well,
y'all
look,
got it. I'm out.
when he comes also ask him. I think he's trying to get back on. When he's done sharing about that, man, ask him about that event he's got coming up too.
Right?
Wow.
There you go.
Mosiah, are you there?
You dropped the mic, my man.
Right. We was like, oh, he decided to drop the mic and just leave. He said, that's it. I'm gone.
yeah. Can y'all
But hey,
hear me
welcome.
now?
We
Yeah, we
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
We can hear you now. So we got that you got a bomb entrepreneurial apprenticeship wholesale joint for the babies. Tell us though, you mentioned that once upon a time you were someone who experienced homelessness and housing insecurity, but I also found out that you're having an event that is related to homelessness, right?
I think we
Maybe a
lost.
slow connection.
Yeah, I can't tell if he can't hear or if
I'm
he's
sorry,
frozen.
my reception is terrible.
Oh, it's okay.
All right.
So I think it's a
Can
if
y'all
I
hear me?
We can hear
yeah, a
you.
little bit. I know it was a I think it's like a preparedness. It's an overnight preparedness training. Um,
Yeah. I wanted him to
Oh,
give us all the details because what I had was the flyer that he sent us. And essentially people are sleeping outside overnight to raise awareness and to raise funding. There's CPR certifications. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, like I need Mo to get on here and be able to talk about it. Let me see. CPR, first aid training and certification, outdoor survival skills, navigation, live shooting, archery practice. It's for all ages. There's a family survival training, and it starts Saturday, October 30th at 10 a.m. and goes until Sunday. There's a breakfast service, a prayer circle, and it just sounds like an amazing weekend and totally necessary about raising awareness and keeping people abreast with how much homelessness and how much housing insecurity exists in Baltimore. There's a lot more than people would like to admit, because a lot of people don't consider themselves housing insecure because they're sleeping on someone's couch. They're like, oh, I do have a roof over my head, but that's not your address. And that's not, those people aren't necessarily going to let you stay there all the time. Like you just don't know what someone's circumstances are. So I think that those survival skills are absolutely important. And I wish he was here to tell us more about it. I wish he was here to tell us more about it. Khadijah, come off mute and tell us a little bit more about what I know you were talking about the walk with the doc, but you also have a connection with a community garden near,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, near Mervo. So it's a couple different things. There's a gentleman, his name is Alex. He's an English teacher there. He's from Scotland, but he actually decided to create this farm, and he is working with residents in the community in addition to students at Mervo to really grow produce in abundance that the community can use. And his whole idea was really to try to figure out how to do it to combat health disparities of those residents that were in the neighborhood. So he was really trying to grow a lot of herbs, things that could help possibly with diabetes or,
Right.
low, helping with cardiovascular disease. And so that was a really cool thing. And I got him hooked up with Morgan State. They have some money through their Morgan Cares program, and that stands for Community Aligned Research. And it's all about community based participatory research and really trying to make it a point to get to know what's happening in the community at a ground level and work with them to create community change together. Morgan has a ton of resources available, funding, staff, faculty that can help with capacity building, and they want to really do make a difference in the neighborhoods that are surrounding the university. So he got some money, and he's going to do some big things with Morgan. So I'm happy about that.
Can I
Yeah. Go
can I
ahead.
comment and pitch to you real quick, Miss Hart?
Sure.
So
Yes.
I recently resigned from Parks and Recs, mostly because of the political climate and all the politics involved with even an entry level position with the city and all the things that we should be doing. The city is not doing and they're not supporting their rec centers like they should be. I'll give you an example. I worked at a rec center for over 2 years, well, almost 2 years, like a month short of 2 years, and the entire time requesting something simple for basic operation like a printer, we never got one. So
Hmm.
if you can't get me a printer, then how am I supposed to do program applications and applications for people to join the rec and all this other stuff, right? Um, Kind of absurd. And
Hmm.
the city doesn't really support. So what I discovered was that almost well, not almost, by policy, all the recs are supposed to have rec councils.
Hmm.
Right, as an employee of the rec, I can't say like I want to do XYZ or uh, without like multiple levels of approval and a huge cumbersome process, right? But if I'm a rec council representative as a volunteer and a member of the community, I have the authority to demand things from the agency that they have to be more considerate of my requests, and it's less of a cumbersome process. So my plan is I have this vision specifically for Morgan State regarding my families and my communities on the east side. And I don't really know where to begin, but I want to have a conversation with the right people to allow the students to form these rec councils and allow the students to engage the community, to engage the agency, to learn how to navigate and coordinate and really speak on behalf of the community and tell the agency what the communities need, to empower them to bring programs and resources through the agency, through Baltimore City Recs and Parks, and empower them as rec council people. And it doesn't take a lot. I think you need like maybe like two or three people minimum by policy at each rec. But there's 4 or 5 recs right around Morgan State that even if we just did one or two, um, it would be a huge influence and a huge push in the right direction to serving our communities, especially a rec council without compromising their job because it's volunteer. You can demand more from the agency, demand the accountability, demand the resources that they're supposed to be already providing.
Hmm.
Um, and so I'd like to have that conversation with the right people at Morgan and see. I spoke with a young lady the other night, one of the sorority girls. She's actually the president of one of the sororities, and she was interested because, of course, I don't want to present this program if the students aren't interested in doing it, right? You don't want to come in We've had a conversation before on the show, coming in with ideas, being an outsider, and bringing in ideas that nobody really asked for. So after
Yeah.
speaking with some of the students there, definitely interested. Um, so I just want to pitch that to you as an idea. I'd like the kids just to be empowered, earn some community service hours, learn how to navigate the politics and the process for the agency, and while serving the community. I think it's just a win-win for everybody.
I think that's a great idea, Chap. Khadijah, I know you want to respond, but most importantly, if you like follow the show, often kids that are college age are not really with the politics of it all. They're like, they don't trust politicians. They're not interested in politics. So I think getting them involved and interested at this level, like on a community level, to recognize, oh, there is some change that can be incited, because that's change that they can see right there in their backyard every day that they've implemented, and then understand how that ripples up through the Baltimore situation as we dismantle systemic racism. Go ahead, Khadijah.
No, I think you're right, Queen. I think you're right. And I think, Chap, that's an amazing idea. And it's one that I think the university would definitely be interested in having a conversation about. And I will give you, outside of this, the contact information for the Morgan Cares program, because if you can join that network, then that's like your start of at least getting your foot in the door. And that's what I try to tell people. I mean, to be able to have the support of an anchor institution behind you is huge. And if Morgan is saying that they will, help you if you need technical assistance, if you need some capacity building, if you need somebody to do some data for you, if you need some, if you need maybe funding,
We just
if
need
you
some
need,
young leaders ready to take over
yeah,
the
if you
world.
need people, whatever, like, yes, if you need some young leaders, like you said, we want to be able to be there. And that's what I like about it. And for me, I went to Morgan. I graduated. So for me, it's very important for me to give back in this way and make sure Morgan is doing what they say that they want to do by way of the community. Like, that's important to me because I love the community. I went to Morgan. I live close to the university. I work in the neighborhood. Like, that community, all the communities surrounding it are very, very important to me. And we need the institution's help. You know, they have to. They I mean they are in the community, so they have to help the community. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's the beauty about HBCUs and the way that redlining is set up. They're always in the community, and that
Yeah,
means that we're right there in the heart of the soul of what's going on and the change
yeah,
that we need to see, and able to implement that because of those institutions. So, for so many
yeah.
reasons, HBCUs are just amazing in so many ways.
Yeah, and we want them, the people to stay. For me, I'm a transplant, I'm not from Baltimore. So to be able to come to Morgan and go to school and not go back, but really say, I want to stay here and I want to have roots here and I want to do something here is important to me because I could be doing this back home, but I'm doing it here because I feel like this is where I need to be doing it,
Amen.
you know.
Well, I'll tell you, Morgan does. I'll say from my experience, they do try to do things with the city and for the city, and the city shoots itself in the foot. I know at one point they had offered the police precinct over there to rebuild a brand new police precinct for the Northeast and for free. And the city said no because they weren't willing to take on the liability of building the gun range. They said, we'll build a new office administration building for the Northeast precinct, and you guys build the gun range. And for whatever reason, the city said no. They said no to a free building for Morgan State. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
Don't try
They've
to
had.
figure it out. Don't try
I'm
to
not.
figure it
I'm
out.
not. They've had offers. They've had offers to get free vehicles from. I don't know which company it was, but somebody offered free new cruisers for the city, and all they asked was that you do the PM through the dealerships. and the city said no because whoever was in charge of that decision, somebody they knew was probably making money. I guess I don't know. I wasn't there. I'll say that up front, but it just seems like the city always has these really great deals coming their way, and for whatever reason, they just don't take them. And we know the reason, but come on, man. I'm
Mm.
telling you, I've been turned down. I got a Harlem Globetrotter in my pocket trying to do clinics and motivational speeches for the kids, and Parks and Recs people have said no, thank you. I've had Mike Crosby and Kenny Kay say we'll come run a DJ program for free, and to me they're hood legends, and Parks and Recs is like, who? Yeah, no, thank you. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Chap, you realize they're trying to build houses for people who don't have money and just give them away, right? And like that's
City says what they say. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is a good idea, but the houses are too small. They don't have electricity. Who's going to pay the taxes? But when people are sleeping on concrete, I don't think any of that stuff matters. And apparently it does. So to say that you don't understand why, they can come up with 100 reasons why each and every time. What were you going to say, Khadijah?
Oh no, I was gonna say, I mean, so for me, when I look at that, I think about, okay, so how can we do this ourselves, right? So is there a grant that we can write to make this happen? Can we get together and get a tiny home? Can Quia build a tiny home and we put our studio, our DJ studio in a tiny home and put it on a vacant lot? Or can we, have it mobile like Jess? We could put our studio in one of Jess's things, and she drive around, she have her mobile studio. Like there are things that I feel
Right.
like
What are
we
the
can do.
alternatives?
Yeah, what are the alternatives? And we can work together, to come up with some funding amongst one another, right? So listen to this idea, right? So I talked to this sister, and she basically feeds the homeless, and she was telling me all of these different places to go get free food. She's like, okay, Khadijah, if you go on Monday, you could go here. If you go this day, you go here. This day, like all these places you could go. And I'm like, man, you could go literally all week. You don't have to buy food. She was like, she gets chicken, she gets this, you could get salmon, you get like food. It could be from the farmer's market, it could be from Trader Joe's, Aldi's. The food is just so much an abundance of food. So I'm thinking, why not just go ahead and see if you can cut down on your food bill and just totally just do free food, right? And see how much money that you would save. And then what could you do with that money? How could you invest it into helping the community? How can you invest it to maybe pay down your debt? How can you invest it to do something else to make a change? If everybody all put their money in for something, say they wanted to make improvements on the exteriors of their houses. If they all
Right.
wanted to get plaque at the same color address plaque, so they wanted to make it look nice themselves, so
Right.
that their
That'll
block
increase
looks different or
property
lights.
values
That
in the
increased property
neighborhood.
value. There you go. And now you're getting your free vegetables, and you're investing back into your community. If you want to have a program, you know what I mean? And you want to pay for somebody on your block to teach whatever program, right? Like if you want to pay for Jess to come out, you want to pay for Chap to come out, or anybody to come out and speak, then the community, you all get together and you pay for that person. You show that person that you value them,
Yeah,
right?
give them an
Because
honorarium.
yeah,
Right.
give them an honorarium, because we do community work, and that's what somebody told me. Even though it's community work, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be paid for it, right? This is a lot of time it takes for us to do these things, y'all, and we do it because we love it. But it is a skill for us to do this, and it is work,
We
So
needed her to talk with Blanca. So one of our sisters, Blanca Tapahuasco, is she ran a pilot program called Bilingual Biliteracy, and
oh
it's the
wow,
Latino community in the Southeast alongside of us learning English and Spanish together. And the
Blanca, I
uniqueness,
actually
yeah,
want to do a
uniqueness
pilot
of learning
program with
together
her.
is that like we are weaving relationships while we learn together
yes,
instead of the system which naturally divides us.
mhm,
Essentially uniting in this class and learning together from each other and with each other. Uh,
mhm,
and it's a really beautiful thing. And, the city would have her continue to do it for free, but she spends so much time preparing and so much time away from her kids homeschooling to come once a week and teach. And not to mention the value of having first responders come to a class and learn how to be bilingual while they're engaging the community.
mhm,
There's a
mhm,
familiarity. If a police officer shows up to a call, like maybe let's say a domestic, and oh, but he knows you from class,
Yeah.
He's not going to escalate things. He's not going to be as edgy, right? He's going to take it down a notch and be like, "Oh, hey, how you doing, Miss Maria?" You know what? And he'll be able to communicate with them as well in their own language, or they'll also be able to communicate in English a little bit better. You know, but like you said, there's so much value in what we do, and we know that, and we come out of pocket doing it because we know that God pays better than anybody can pay in the first place. There's rewards and joy that is just immeasurable when you do it. But I think at the same time, to maintain sustainability so that people don't get burnt out, so they can be consistent, we need to support them.
Yeah. And we have to be intentional about our partnerships and the things that we're putting out into the communities, and making sure that they're not accidentally harmful and that the community actually wants that. I think that all of us are great at doing that and getting participatory information from people who we're impacting, but for people who are listening. So we joke about it every now and again, but once upon a time, a very nice gentleman was on here discussing a chicken spot that they wanted to put in West Baltimore, and was upset. He and his partners were upset that the community didn't receive it. The community wasn't like, yes, a chicken. Is that what the community asked for? Did you talk to the community?
Right.
Training or jobs, or you know what I mean? Like,
and John is he's a well-intended guy, and his whole point was to find a way to employ ex-offenders and to bring wealth and work into the community. He's so well-intended, but the nuance was, and the point Quita made was, yes, but did you survey the community to see how to integrate your vision into their culture?
Yeah. And I think people should do more of that. I think, when you have these, especially you have these neighborhoods that have these Main Street programs, there should, to me, be standards now, because they are with community associations, right? Like, if somebody wants to go in and build a property or have like assisted living, or make one single family a duplex, you usually have to go before the community association and let them know these are your plans, and that's what you should be doing. And the same thing should go.
But it's not.
It doesn't happen, and that's the same that it should be happening for businesses too. It should be like, listen, I want to open up a barbershop or a hair salon. It's like, listen, it's already 5 barbershops and 7 hair salons on this block, and how is this serving us?
Right.
Like, how are these chicken? It's 4 chicken places. We don't want another chicken place. How is it serving us?
Right.
Like, people, if the community is really supposed to have, let's look at how Tulsa was. Let's look at what Tulsa had in those blocks. It had a movie theater. It had schools. It had a bank. It had, grocery stores. Let's look and see what are the things that a community truly needs, just by basics, just based off of how many people live in the community, and see how many. It may need 2 banks. And let's start there. And then if there's room for access and for more variety, if the community wants it, then yeah. I don't know. It just.
I just want to comment and bring Jess back into the conversation, because when she got the food truck and we were talking, or the space for that, also the first question is like, who needs this? Where can we go? And what do they want to eat? It wasn't like she didn't say, I'm cooking this and I'm going to go here. And like her first thought was, let's connect with, some people and see who would want this. Where do they want it? And how can we, what do you think they want to eat, right? Like, do they want this or they want that? But that was her first thought as I guess, an enlightened entrepreneur, right? She's like, she knows that you want to survey your customers in your community, see what the need is, and not just bring something that like quite frankly, no one asked for. Because that doesn't lead to a successful business. You might make a couple bucks that day.
Like, the neighborhood knows what they need, and it only makes them feel unheard. Like, it only makes us feel unheard. Like, you're not listening to us. We've been telling you what we needed, and you keep delivering everything but. Like, that is a problem. So, Jeff, tell us about it. Like, how is that unfolding for you? Is it as frustrating as it sounds?
Are you asking me or yes, Steve?
I'm asking you as far as the food truck or the food cart. of it all? Is it the permitting of it all and figuring
Yeah,
out like,
That
the
is
thing
definitely
that I was
frustrating.
discussing to Dave is the city doesn't streamline the process for anything. Opening a childcare, like I had to learn all of that on my own. Basically, the housing, the permits, I mean, the inspections, and then the process of that, and all the training and certifications they require. It wasn't written down on a piece of paper. It's just basically somebody there saying, okay, you did this step, now you need to do this step. And that's the problem with the city, even when we were going through the situation last year, and what was the acting mayor at that time?
Young, Mayor Young?
Yeah, Young. Just how he reacted to the businesses in general. It was just like they don't care. They care less really if you are successful or not. They don't make a way for you. Like if you really want a business, you have to fight for it. And it's unfortunate that even in the permit office, like I think David was saying, they're limit. They don't have that many people there. It seems like to process things, so they're more quickly to cite you for doing something incorrectly or not having the proper paperwork. But
Because
mind you,
it's
you don't have
easier
the
than them to
people
actually do their job.
to expedite what you're trying to do. So with going back to what you were saying, the food cart, it's just sitting there right now. I'm waiting to get permits on it. Um, I have to, well, as I learned the process, they told me basically I had to contact the health department. Then I got switched over to another unit. So I didn't really get a clear, concise
Right.
answer because I didn't know if it was based off of
Yeah.
where it was going to be located. It depends basically on what I need to, the process of obtaining the permit.
Right.
So I was telling Dave, it's ready to go. It's ready. I wanted for somebody to work it, to make their money. It's great for somebody who wants to be a self entrepreneur. Um, it's just now I found out I have to have the cart driven to like the health department. They have to inspect it. And then from there is the process of once that's approved, I guess them looking at it inside of it, seeing that everything is up to par. Um, the next step would be then, the obtaining the permits. And then again, submitting that paperwork, which I don't know how long that process is going to take, but I know with childcare, it took me almost 6 months just to get my license or just training alone and everything that was required. It took me almost a full, actually, year to get everything. And now I'm in the process of trying to become a center, and that's a different beast.
Jess, I have a question for you, Jess.
Go ahead.
Is is there a is there any type of like food truck council or like childcare like the thing is you've gone through this
Mhm,
process already, so you can make it that much easier for the next person.
mhm.
Is that something that already exists, or is that something that you think is a real need for, because it's, because of just kind of what you've gone through.
As
It
far as
seemed
like
like it's just,
childcare in general,
yeah, well, my thing is like the whole process that it took you to do, you kept saying, nobody told me this. I didn't
yeah,
know how to
nobody
do
feel
this.
like
I
if
just,
I were to go through it again, I could write it down and say
yes,
it
yes,
is X, Y, and Z. Yes, I could do.
yeah.
Um, and not mind you, they do have like a pamphlet of everything online as far as training, but they don't tell you that you gotta all the way down to Pratt Street. They don't tell
Mm-hmm.
you, you know, you gotta get this done. Yeah, the process they don't explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely could write it out and
Yeah.
find it for someone. But then to also answer your question, like as I'm doing childcare, it's such a tremendous need because of where I'm located. Or I don't do vouchers right now from the state, but when I was accepting them, I got so many calls for childcare. And the biggest issue, because I was telling Dave and trying to open up childcare more. So I would like to be the one that opens them up throughout the city.
Okay.
There's such a high demand. And not only that, the city just, they seem like, I've seen them because I talked to a lot of childcare workers and this, that, and the other, and they've shut them down for, you know, simple things that they really could have just helped them through the process. Like ratios, they're very, adamant about the number of
Hmm.
kids the dogs, and it was just, but it was minute little things that they could have easily rectified and fixed.
Mhm.
But instead, it just seems like they are looking to shut down businesses. That's the gist of what I get from them.
Mm.
And it's unfortunate because it is a need, and the city pays exponential amount of money for you to watch these children. They will,
Mhm.
but nobody's opening childcares nowhere. And now, if anything, they've all shut down because of the pandemic. That's where I got the influx when everything started, reopening again.
Yeah.
But I mean, the issue I know in the city is like they have to have a play area, and a lot of places in the city don't have like a yard.
Right.
They have to have a playground. So that's one thing I know, reason why. But it's especially in
But
West
you could turn some of those
open
vacant lots
a
into
child care in West
playground.
Baltimore. That's what I want to do. Open up a child in West Baltimore. Oh my goodness, that's gonna be a gold mine because there's so many people telling me all the time that they need care over there. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
as I'm building my business, my goal is to one day open a huge center over there so I can take.
We have one. We got a spot for you. We got a spot for you. We've been cleaning it every week for like 3 months now. We got a spot for you. Yeah.
Wow, see,
It's the old look. The old. I don't know the politics involved, but the old William Penderhughes School in 1200 Fremont, right behind Avenue Market, is
really?
abandoned. It's abandoned, and it's on the surplus list. You could get the whole school probably for less than $100,000 if you know the right people.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's about connections. It really is. It's just unfortunate that, like I said, there's so much red tape. And I mean, just like I was saying, going back to the mayor, just even during the pandemic, he was so quick to, he didn't have a solution for business owners. They like threw them all under the bus,
Right.
and so many businesses have suffered dramatically in Baltimore City alone. They're leaving. You know what I'm saying? So how are you going to build up a city when you have businesses leaving?
Or
Yeah.
just going right out to the county.
They're
But
going right
you
to
would
the
think
county, and then
the crazy.
and
Go
then
ahead.
the people that live here, we get taxed more and more. They said Baltimore City is like one of the top, highest tax, cities
Yep.
out here. So you just got to keep pressing despite it all. I just, I have ambition. I know what I want to do,
Mhm.
and that's my goal. Is I love children. I want to offer these services to them. Also, transportation. Oh my gosh!
Mhm.
Once I put on my website how, because I only transport my child care kids and certain kids within this vicinity, only 5-minute vicinity, from my marketing and whatnot, people call me from all over the city to pick up their children.
Mm.
Because with Ubers, you can't get them when you have to be at least 18. Then once you're a certain age. So there's such a high demand for childcare transportation in the city. It is. I get called every day for at least 10,
Wow.
15 calls. Like, can you pick my kid from Roland Park School? Something. I'm like, look, I don't service always that side. There's no way I would be able to get
But
to
you
my child
might
on
need to,
time.
girl. You might need to, sis.
Right.
Yes,
That's
but
like another apprentice program. What kind
yes,
of
I'm
license
telling
do they
you.
need? What kind
Listen,
of
you can
I
insurance
be
do we
listen, you
need?
can be starting these little franchises
yes.
just like my man just you can start these franchises all over. I'm telling you, and people can be entrepreneurs
And
and they can
deputize
know.
people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because just like if they have an Uber for kids, I'm telling you,
Listen.
oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
such a need. It's a
I have
huge.
a girlfriend, Erica, Lexi's little bug, for anybody who's in the audience and
I
needs.
think I've seen her in my community.
Yeah, Erica's been doing it maybe 2 or 3 years, probably
Yeah,
a little
and a
longer
lot
than
of people
I
don't do
talked to
it. So
her.
whenever they ask me, they'll say like, "You know anybody else?" And I said, "It's not a lot of people that are doing that, or if they do, they're to a select group." But I
Yeah,
pick up between like 10 to 12 kids
yeah,
every day, and I get calls. I actually have a new kid I'm picking up tomorrow. So, because the unfortunate thing is a lot of kids get out of school around that 2:30, 3 o'clock, 3:30 mark, and parents are still at work until 5. So that's where my services come in. We're getting them to come here, get a snack, and then they hang out. I have a huge yard. They play until the parents come or do homework or whatever. So as I'm building these businesses and doing these things in the city, I see different needs
Yeah.
as I'm building the things that I want to do to bless other people.
Yeah.
That's
so good.
what is opening my eyes to a lot of things that I'm passionate about and I want to do.
And
so
the
my
need is
goal is to
that's
be that
right.
name, that brand name, for the child care of the city. Like we need
That's
care,
right.
these children, and that's the perfect place is to nurture them in that setting. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of them, even my kids that come here, we're mommies to them. You know what I'm saying? We are. So, we're more older, seasoned mothers watching you kids. So.
Well, look, and it's interesting that you acknowledge like the more you invest in a community. And me and Quita have found this quite literally. The more that you invest in a community, the more layers you peel back, the more needs you discover.
It is true. It's true.
That's
I
just
didn't
insightful.
realize it until I started marketing my services that I realized that that's a need. Transportation for children around Baltimore City is in high demand.
I will say, I will say that before COVID and before Senator Cummings passed, he was actually working on we went to the MTA to ask for that for during the summer. There's so much good stuff going on in the city for our youth, but the youth, one of their biggest hurdles was transportation, right?
Yeah.
So if they're in school, they get a bus pass for school, but it doesn't cover the summer and all the summer activities and events, right? So we had asked Maryland Transportation to, just give us, the buses are running anyway, just give us some passes for the youth so they can get around to all these events that people were doing. And they said no. So Mr. Cummings was like, you know what, let's just write a grant for however much money they think they need. And let's give out bus passes to everybody for the summer and, build a program around it where everybody starts with a, clean slate. Everybody can get a bus pass. And if you're disrespectful or you're causing problems, then in that case, you can be, you can have that pass revoked. But everybody starts clean, right? Everybody gets a chance to get around and do stuff in the summer. And unfortunately, when he passed, that conversation kind of fizzled out. And maybe it's something we need to revisit with Quasi. But transportation has always been a huge hurdle for our youth.
It is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
Well, it's ridiculous. Baltimore County has Baltimore County school buses.
Right,
Baltimore City
but
uses public transportation.
Well, the issue with the city is the kids have school choice. So even though they like my kids, my kids are in this general vicinity. My oldest goes to Baltimore Design School, so that's 25 minutes out. You know what I'm saying? So since they have school choices, sometimes they can go 25, 30, 40 minutes out just to go to school. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like it's local because usually, because I'm from the county and school buses they can pick you up close, at that specific location and everybody, and then you went.
That changed with magnet programs though, when you didn't have to go to your home school anymore. Like they figured it out in Baltimore County.
Yeah.
I think if they really tried to, they could figure it out in Baltimore City because
they do, but they are not putting their time into it. The city, they were just talking on WBA how much money they get, and they don't use it, effectively.
And Senator Hayes was speaking with Donnie earlier last week, I think, about that, and he was trying to explain how the data drives the budget. And our question was, why do we got kids from maybe from EA, north or south, waiting on a bus for 2 hours over in Lake Clifton? Because now you got kids from outside of the neighborhood waiting on a bus, waiting to go home. You got kids in the neighborhood starting beef. You're putting everybody in a dangerous situation. It just makes no sense. And he was trying to explain, the data shows that there's a need here and we need to get kids to this school for this reason and this school. And so money goes here and there. And, we're kind of talking a different language because the senator was trying to explain data, numbers, and budget. And we were talking about people's lives and the context that they're living in. It was just it was like apples and oranges.
Right. But Chap, like we were talking, we recognize that the data needs to build up for at least 2 years in most cases before the city recognizes or wants to acknowledge that these complaints are valid. Like if there's inconsistency, it fixed itself. That's no longer an issue.
I was going to say they're going to manipulate the data just like, does our state's attorney look really good because crime has gone down? we don't talk about crimes going down because you're not prosecuting, right? So data can be manipulated.
Right.
You need to ask the people, like we've been talking about, survey people and just do what they tell you, because we're the boss. You work for us. Don't matter what office you hold. You work for me.
People,
But we're not demanding that accountability.
Yeah. You know, say burn down. And start or off.
Right. I mean, I think
y'all fired and restart. And look, the whole system needs a restart.
Right, burn it down, and start over. Okay, not Baltimore, the system. Okay, because we can't be burning down Baltimore again.
It's the people that are in power that are not doing what they're supposed to do.
Because they're not in power. We're the power.
But I think we're not. But I think we're also not holding them accountable. And it really, in the end, we can't say that if we're not demanding certain things of them. We got to go ahead and tell them this is what we want. Yeah. Like Chap said, you work for us. And the thing is, we all get in these circles and we talk about what they're not doing, but no one like really is like, this is what y'all need to do. And if y'all don't do this, then blah, 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 blah. Because in the end, they really have to do it.
Yeah,
they have to really do it if we say that.
And
so I think
consistent about it.
Yeah, and we have to be consistent, and we have to really show them that we mean business. You know.
Yeah.
Say less.
Yeah. Baltimore.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many different issues. They need more resources. They need more people. They need better spending. They need better accountability. They need more of our input into what they're already doing. There's so many things, like it's really difficult because like Jess said, there's a whole issue, a slew of issues with the whole permitting process. I'm a property manager, and registering a rental property is like, it should not
be that difficult. Right.
Oh my God.
Procedures, like
you have to get an inspection. Once the inspection is scheduled, you have to follow up and make sure that the inspection takes place and then submit the information. Did they get the information? Did y'all receive everything that you needed so that I can have my stuff and send in my application? But it's just like, you got to call this place to get that information, that place to get that information, this other place. And it's piecemealed. Like, why you give me the whole list of everything and let me, you know what I'm saying, do what I do. It's like, nope, you do this one thing and come back to me. And then do this other thing and then come back to me.
Yeah,
I could have did both of them at the same damn time.
How it
is.
So
process. That's why if you're not ambitious, don't open up a business in the city.
Don't do it.
The process is not efficient. It's not an efficient process.
No.
You better want it really bad.
We'll figure it out, though. We'll figure it out because we steadily opening up these businesses and getting the stuff done. Okay.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Grant writing. Anybody knows anything about grant writing? And
yes. So
you did. Okay.
Yes. I actually had a conversation with a lady today.
Okay.
Yep. I'll put you on. I'll connect you, Jess.
Okay.
Before we close, anybody got stuff going on this week?
Yes.
I'll say tomorrow, North and Charles, intersection of North and Charles from 12:30 to 3. We have a flash table. Come get some free food. Just feeding the community and setting up a nice little outdoor restaurant. Just going to have a good time, break bread with everybody, and enjoy some good food.
Yeah. And usually, let me think. I will be at Loyola doing a sidewalk session, basically talking about redlining. I'll probably mention how nonprofits actually support white supremacy, but that's besides the point. We were also talking about Baltimore homes and how we need more support from institutions like Loyola because we know they have the whole bag and change the community that they're already in. And yet, okay, so not all those details. So I'll be at Loyola on Thursday. On Friday, I'll be at 3000 Hillen Road. We will be giving out produce starting at 1 o'clock. And then Saturday morning at 10:30, 2555 Harford Road, also produce distribution.
I'll share
Oh, go ahead, Chad.
No, go ahead. I was going to share also all this week at Rock City Church on the Hill off Cromwell and Loch Raven. They could use volunteers this week just with their food pantry. If you look them up on the website, it's Rock City Church. Just get connected. Daniel Epps is in charge of the food pantry, and they just need some volunteers this week getting some food out. Go ahead. What else you got?
Saturday, food distribution, and financial literacy for young women. I'm doing a hour course on financial literacy for young women. So after that, though, that course will be available on Baltimore Home's website. Boom. So I'll put that up there and announce the link after the show. And Khadijah, what do we do on Sundays, love? What happens on Sundays?
We are walking with the doc and just walking, girl, at Lake Montebello at 9:00.
Awesome.
And it's a wonderful event. Please come out, network with some folks, walk, get some exercise, and just be grateful for all things out in the atmosphere outside. So please come.
Jess, bring the babies. Bring the babies.
Yes, Jess, you need to come out so we can
babies.
see you in person, girl.
Yeah, bring some littles. Bring some littles. There were some little puppies out there last time. We need some little babies and some buggies and all that beautiful stuff. Yes.
My 2-year-old, so yeah.
I love it. All right, so we'll be back same bat time, same bat channel next week.
Yes, and thank you everyone for your time and everything.
Thank y'all for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice meeting everyone.
Yes.
Yep, I love you guys. Have a good night.
Oh, you too.
Love you
Peace,
back.
y'all.
See you later.